Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nichol.
Thank you so much for dropping in. This is series 14, and we are recording on October 8th, 2025. If you're new here, I'm so stoked to have you drop in. And if you're old listeners, thank you for coming back and dropping in over and over again. Now, this series is about motivation. It's not always easy. I find I have trouble with it sometimes, so I wanted to hear from others and how they keep motivations high. In this series, we dive into the minds of athletes, Olympians, Paralympians, and so many more people to find out how their mindsets work. How do they get through a tough workout? That's like my usual problem. What motivates them? We've heard from so many amazing people, change makers, so far in this series. So let's drop in with our next guest. So let me introduce our next guest. She's a sports psychiatrist who doesn't just treat symptoms. She helps athletes build mental resilience, integrate wellness, and stay in the game for the long run. Early in her career, she worked across hospitals, clinical settings, and academia. Today, she supports athletes from youth to pros, serves as the team psychiatrist for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and works with major art organizations like the National Ballet of Canada. She's authored seminal chapters of psychiatric emergencies in sport and is president of the International Society for Sports Psychiatry, while also teaching at McMaster University. When she's not advocating for athlete mental health, she's busy reshaping norms in high-performance environments, making mental care as essential as physical care in sport. I'm pleased to drop in with doctor, advocate, educator, and mental health pioneer, Dr. Carla Edwards. Okay, that's like a mouthful. You've done a lot. You're doing a lot. How are you?
You know, when I hear that, it sounds like too much, because to me, it's every day. Like, it's just, it's such a pleasure to work in this space and to meet with people like yourself and to have an opportunity to join your platform, which I'm really appreciative of today. So thank you so much for the invitation. But I think
Amazing.
I have the best job in the world because I get to talk sports all day and help athletes feel better. So how can you top that?
That's so awesome. And I can hear the passion in your voice. So let's drop in and do the 10 never rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Ready to go.
Okay, number one's an easy one. Where in the world are you today?
I'm in Waterdown, Ontario.
Waterdown, Ontario. Okay. Number two, coffee, tea, or something stronger to get you through a long clinic day?
Always start the day with tea and then follow up with coffee
Oh,
in the
what kind
afternoon.
what
So
kind of tea?
oh, just regular orange pekoe. I'm a pretty simple person.
Okay, cool. Number three, early bird or night owl when it
Night
comes
owl,
to getting
100%.
work? I even put
Always
but
been.
what about work? What about for work?
Oh, well, I usually start my
Later.
outside of clinical work, like the writing and everything, like 10 PM to midnight I begin and
Oh,
finish by like really, I don't encourage that to anybody, but I think it started, during my university years because I did a chemistry degree, so busy all day in classes and labs and then practice. I was a varsity volleyball player in the evenings, and then work started after that. And I would
right.
work until I got it done and then I would go to sleep. And so I've just kind of continued that. And so I still do that today.
Okay, you gave a little tidbit that I did not catch in the bio that you were a varsity volleyball player. Okay.
I
See?
was. That's
There's
where the seeds were. Like there were seeds all the way, and that was my
Hey,
sports seeds began very early, and that's what
I
led me to
love
this.
it. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Um, the athlete you'd love to have a deep mental performance chat with. Oh, that's a tough one.
Ooh, whenever I'm asked about an athlete that I would love to have a conversation with, my
Mm.
first thought is always to the one that I idolized right from childhood, which was Steffi Graf, which probably dates me a bit. But I remember um, just being just so fascinated and inspired by her early because she was really the first female well, I mean, there were lots of females that came before her in sport that inspired her, but I remember her power and I remember her forehand, and she was just really known for that. And I remember a lot of adversity that she had come through in her personal life as well.
Right.
and really triumphed over. And she was just someone that I revered for a very, very long time. And so I consider her a pioneer in women's sport, and really it's opened doors for a lot of our great women today. So I would love to have a
Absolutely.
conversation with her at some point.
I mean, I would too. That's a good choice. Some of these questions I ask, I'm like, "Who would I?" I don't know. It's a tough one. Okay, number 5, if you weren't a psychiatrist, what career would you have chosen?
Lawyer.
Oh, that's vicious.
Lawyer, yeah, I love the logic. I love the writing. I love the writing. I love the reading. I love the logic. I love the argument. But
Okay.
back in the day when I was deciding,
Mhm.
um, pathways, I had a lot of social anxiety, and so speaking in front of people or speaking
Okay.
to people was exceedingly difficult for me, and so I chose a different pathway where I thought I wouldn't have to. And then eventually, of course, I chased chemistry, but then when I got to medical school, you couldn't avoid it anymore. And you know what I realized? To get where I wanted to go in terms of pioneering and advocacy and other things like that, it required being able to talk to people and speak, in front of people and use
Yeah.
a platform. And so I learned how to get over that. I got through it.
That's super cool. I also find that interesting to people's journeys and how they choose their ways, so that's awesome, thank
Mhm.
you. Number 6, your go-to stress reliever after a packed week of seeing athletes.
At the end of a tough day, I often go wild and treat myself with a coffee and a cookie. It's that's going big. So
That's
I
hilarious.
laugh at myself for doing that because I'm like, that's nothing. I would say throughout my career, sports has been the go-to.
Yeah,
To have that outlet, really to not carry things with you, but also it's just a nice release, and it's a nice transition point to your own space, to be
yeah.
able to, whether it's hit a punching bag or lift some weights or walk on a treadmill, whatever that may be.
What do you do? What's
It's changed over time, right? And depending
Yeah,
on if I'm dealing with injuries. I've played hockey for a long time, which,
okay. Ice
I
hockey?
think I did. Yeah, I started that in, residency, not till I moved to
Okay.
Ontario because we didn't have it in Newfoundland growing up, as a kid for me. But, yeah, it's changed, and this is what I try to help my athletes understand too, is that you're an athlete for life. You're never not an athlete
Mhm,
once you're an athlete, and it just changes over time. And it's
mhm.
the relationship with sport that you have that's super important, that can guide the ingredients for you, so that as your body changes and your family changes and your living situation changes and you're dealing with injuries or what have you, you can still find those ingredients in a different way in sport, but
Yeah,
you can always have that thread of community and connection through sport wherever you go.
isn't that cool? I love that. We'll touch on more of that for sure. Okay, number 7, what's one song that instantly boosts your mood?
Right now I'm on a bit of a Taylor Swift kick because she just released her new album.
No
So
doubt.
I'm listening to the Sirius XM channel of Taylor Swift. So that's kind of going through my mind. But I think for me, it's, and I ask my athletes this question a lot too, around what playlist do they listen to for whatever
Mhm.
they're aiming for, and it does change. So, and their answers change too. It depends on what mood state you're looking for and what you're actually doing. So whether it's, sometimes I would listen to country music on the way to a hockey game,
Right.
or I've been dating myself, Air Supply when I'm doing something else. So,
Yeah.
or Eminem at other times. So I
Yeah,
find I have enough. It's important to have enough music so that you can kind of go through your playlist and go, what do I need right now? And then you
totally.
fill it. Mhm.
That's super funny. I've said on this podcast before, I'm like, country music, if I'm, like, feeling a bit low, makes me feel better about myself because they go through some stuff.
Right?
And then I feel better. I'm like, "Okay, we're not alone here. Great, great, great."
Exactly. That's right.
Number 8, what's one myth about mental health in sport that you'd love to just bust for good?
That athletes have an easy life. Everybody
Yes.
assumes that you get the kit, you get the gear, you travel the world, are on TV, you're on the world stage, you must have it knocked and you have nothing to worry about. False.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so funny. I remember I had friends that were like, "Oh, well, I'd rather do what you're doing than have my
Right.
job." I'm like, "Yeah, come to the gym with me. You'd love it.
Right.
You'd
People
absolutely
don't appreciate
love it."
what athletes sacrifice and go through on a daily basis and how much you put into it. It's incredible what you do.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay. Number 9, what's your favorite place to completely disconnect and
Mm.
recharge? I mean, you I have a friend that's a counselor, and you're talking to people, you're getting talked at all day. What's your like zen?
My ultimate Zen place is in Newfoundland at my family cabin or cottage. Like that's the place to
Okay.
go to be in nature on a freshwater lake and just chill, which is nice. But I don't have access to that all the time here, of course.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, here I would either go on my bike or on the treadmill, put in some headphones, listen to music. Like for me, it's um,
Yeah.
the Zen place is the music just allows me to go somewhere else and enjoy it completely and sing if I want to sing or not.
Yeah.
It's a nice release.
It's so interesting. Sometimes I feel like I forget about music. I suffer with depression still to this day from my accident.
Mhm.
And like I will get in that mood, and music will like sometimes just instantly get me out of that, but I forget about it sometimes. So I
Mhm.
love that you brought that up. All right, this is
Because
the
you can
last.
bring that
Oh,
wherever you are, right? Like you can make your Zen
yeah.
place wherever you want if you actually attach it to
Mhm.
something that's mobile.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
brilliant. Oh, it's so good. The last one, and I actually let you read this one before so you could be prepared because I know it's a tough question. One word that sums up your motivation to keep going.
Relentless.
Oh, expand.
Okay. For me, I remember when I was young, I was 14 and living in St. John's for Canada Games training, so provincial games training. And at the time, there was a poster store. They don't have those anymore. Again, dating myself. And I remember seeing this Nike poster that said, "There is no finish line." And that stuck with me to the point that I saved up my money and eventually I bought it. And I still have it. I have it framed and hanging in my basement because, and it shows a female athlete who's sitting on the end of a weight bench, kind of with her head in her hands, but you can tell like she's done, but she's not done. And the
Mhm.
tagline is "There's no finish line." And for me, that's always resonated for me. And there really is no finish line. There can't be a finish line.
Yeah.
um, and so it's kind of like it helps me push forward and always be striving for something, recognizing that there's a long way to go still. And even
Mhm.
when you feel like you're close, like it's okay. Like it's okay to keep going. It's okay to push. It's okay. It's really important to celebrate your successes along the way and recognize
Mhm.
those.
Mhm.
But then to always kind of manifest something in addition to keep you going to change, whether it's your meaning and your purpose. And I think the pandemic helped us all kind of reshape that a little bit, but just having a next adventure, to keep it fresh, to keep it exciting, to keep it stimulating, to keep learning. There's always more that we can do. I remember I had a 16-year-old patient once say to me, "I've seen all I need to see, and I've done all I need to do in my life. There's really nothing else I need to accomplish." And I said, "Oh, well, you're
What?
16, and I think there's actually a lot more in your life that you actually don't know. You don't know what you don't know, and life can actually be very exciting in terms of places you can go and people you can see. So always just keeping the door open to fresh new things is important."
That is wild, but I guess I remember
Mhm.
being that age and be like, "I know everything."
Totally.
Just a little turd back then, that was me. Oh, so annoying. What an age. Okay, cool. Okay, so I do wanna start with you before we go into athlete mentalities a little bit more. How did you get the motivation? You talked about volleyball, to become a doctor. We didn't go down the lawyer route, we went doctor route. So
Mhm.
just break that down for us.
I gave a keynote speech last week at the Alliance for Social Workers in Sport conference, which was fun, and I touched on my journey a little bit. And the message that I tried to get across was the idea of seeds, and I mentioned that at the beginning. So seeds and
Mhm.
ingredients. So we all encounter seeds in our life that are important to pay attention to because they can be put together in the form of ingredients, and it's really important to understand your ingredients. And I alluded to this in the sports sense, in knowing what is it about X, Y, or Z, whether it's school or sports or the program that you're doing or the place that you live, the
Yeah,
job that you have that actually brings you reward and fun and excitement and creativity, because it's actually knowing those ingredients and then you can apply them kind of in your journey. And so as you're going along your journey, by paying
yeah.
attention to your seeds and your ingredients, you'll have those signals for this is exciting or this is not at all exciting. I
Totally.
was saying to one of my colleagues recently, I have an algorithm of kind of 3 directions when something is posed to me, an idea or a proposal of some sort. I have the, that's interesting, I'll think about that, or the
Yeah.
hell no, or the yes, this is really cool. So the yes, this is really cool piece is knowing your ingredients. And so with my pathway, I mean, sports obviously was a very important seed for me throughout my entire life, and that began with my dad. My father was an
Okay.
athlete, he was a teacher, and he spent a lot of time with my brother and I just at the gym, out on the fields, doing pop flies, swimming, like anything. And it was fun and it was so rewarding. And it really helped with obviously movement and feeling good and feeling strong and gaining physical competencies and being good at something. And then sport really opening doors beyond that and just
Yeah.
recognizing these are important ingredients for me, so I need to kind of keep this in my life as I go. And then continuing and playing in university and then in med school, playing football, basketball, volleyball, softball, coaching different things. And but not knowing that mental health and sport went together right at the time, because there was no
No
real
doubt.
sports psychiatry in Canada. And then in residency, learning, going to a conference and learning that sports psychiatry was a thing, and you could
Mm.
combine it. And I was so excited, and that was like that's what I want to do, and that's the direction I want to go in. And I don't care if it doesn't exist. I'll make it. I'll build it. I'll cut it. I'll do it.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. So just to go back, you were in school already. Like had you finished sports or you're doing sports in school on your journey?
I finished my varsity career
Yeah.
after it's like undergrad, masters, finished varsity career, and then went to medical school. But
Okay.
then, a lot of people assume when they go to a professional school of some sort, you have to give up everything because it's so busy and all this. But for
Yeah.
me, again, sport needed to be a core component, or I just didn't feel good. So
Okay.
in our community in St. John's, the group of us, of course, were we all played every sport together,
Cool.
volleyball, basketball, football, softball, and it was a great time. And had an opportunity to coach high school volleyball, high school basketball,
Okay.
and I learned a lot. It was super rewarding. And then yeah, just sport has been really an important thread for me all the way
But you
throughout.
were also like a crazy academic.
Yeah,
Like
it
not
goes hand in
everyone.
hand for me. Like I guess I'm lucky.
Not,
I'm very fortunate that it's my brain works that way, and I love
yeah.
chemistry and molecules are my friends, and not everybody feels the same way about organic chemistry, but
I love it. It's so cool. I mean, like, not everyone's like, "Yeah, I went to school." Like, you just briefly, like, breezed over, you're like, "Yeah, I went to university, then I got my master's." I'm like, "Okay, well, not everyone gets their master's." I'm like, "I wanna hype you up. This is cool." Okay, cool. So you just had that I really like the steps that you had. You were interested and you were going to do it. But let's go with you didn't feel comfortable speaking in front of people, and then you would have now your job is literally to talk to people
I
or have them
know.
talk at you. How did you
Yeah.
overcome that?
Again, my it was so important to me to create something and to be an advocate. And actually, one of the key reasons that I chose the psychiatry pathway was because I wanted to be a voice for those who didn't have a voice. That was something that was so powerful for me that I, recognized in medical school that, the mental health patients had a dot on their chart that demonstrated that they had a mental health history, and they were treated differently all the way through. Their charts were put in a different pile, or they were last in line, or they were just talked to differently. And I really didn't like that. Mental health wasn't something that I wanted to do. I went to medical school wanting to be an ER physician because that's when ER was on TV. Again, dating myself. I wanted to work with George Clooney, all those fun things. But
Yeah.
again, paying attention to the ingredients, it didn't have the right ingredients for me, because I'd get to know people and then they would be gone, and I'd be like,
Gone.
where'd they go? I like these people. What happened? What's the end of their story? I have no idea.
Right.
Similarly with radiology, I like that, but dark room, not talking to anybody, not the right ingredients. And I didn't know that psychiatry had my ingredients until I did that rotation. And it was like, wow, this, like, it just came alive. Like this, the world was colorful, and I got to know people as their stories and their families and their lives, and could get to know them from the, wellness to illness to wellness again. And it was just so
Yeah.
rewarding. And again, just picking up on the adversity that they face, in the system, and really wanting to be a really a big advocate for them and provide them that voice was important. So
Oh,
for
you're
me, it
so
was like, it became easy. It became easy. Like, I'm like, okay, like I get nervous and I shake and whatever, but I can get over that if I've realized that my voice can actually have some influence. And so I
Mhm.
got over myself and got past it.
You are just a true dream. It's amazing. Like, it's I can't fathom how challenging your job is, and I hope everyone that you work with is super grateful, and I'm sure that they are. Let's get in because you do work with so many athletes. Is there anything like, obviously, I hope people come see you, preemptively before anything bad happens, but obviously we always have roadblocks in sports, and we thrive to be the best, but at the same time, it's not always easy to find that motivation, and especially because right now it's October, we're going into that
Mhm.
dark, 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 darkness,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
literally in Canada. Um, what are some things, I guess, that you see with athletes, like, that are losing their motivation? How does that happen? And then let's go into how what do you support to help them, like, gain motivation again?
Right. You know what I notice in my practice, having now being be able to treat youths right up until, adults, is I'm seeing the key timeframes when motivation really needs to shift from externally kind of driven, from
Mhm.
coaches and parents, from the youth, like little kids who are playing sports, who are just
Yeah.
figuring it out, to actually them internalizing it and making it more of an internal
Yeah.
fuel and driver for them. And so the key ages that I'm finding for that are like between the 11 to 13 ish age range, because they're sort of transitioning from just wanting to please their coaches. And I mean, we still have adults who obviously want to do that, but it's the main thing is they're so worried about disappointing their parents or their coaches, and that's really what makes them work hard and show up and all that.
Yeah.
But the work that I try to do with them is really say, okay, but what is it about sports that you like? What is it about sports that makes it fun?
Mhm.
And with the idea that it's the reward of doing well, but the importance of recognizing your successes that really builds the foundation for
Okay.
self-esteem and for motivation, because we have a lot of, certainly it's driven by the difficulties in the youth sports system these days, where we see more perfectionism and we see less tolerance of mistakes, or less tolerance of the chance of mistakes. So athletes are afraid to take chances, and there's
Yeah.
early sports specialization and all of that.
Mm.
um, so what I really focus on with these young folks is you have to recognize your successes. You have to celebrate the good things that you do, and in fact, intentionally identify that was a good pass, that was a good defenseman, that was a good whatever it is,
Right.
and just to demonstrate to them that in fact in a practice they're doing way more good things than things that they
Right.
wish they could do better. And I really try to change the terminology away from mistakes or bad things, just things they need to do differently or want to do differently,
But
just
it's
so that
so
we
it's
can.
it's so easy, sorry to interrupt. It's so
Yeah.
easy to hone in on the bad things. Like, what is
Hmm.
that in our heads
Right.
where we're just like, "Oh, that was terrible," but, like, literally what you're
Right.
saying, you did, like, 100 great things and you're honing in on the bad
That's
ones. So
right.
how do you get them to flip
Yeah.
that mentality?
Well, exactly. The flip the script is something I'm saying more and more lately, where it's, instead of
Uh-huh.
focusing on the mistakes and things you want to do better, or if you're kicking your butt about, let's flip the script and say, okay, look at all the great things that I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
It really will change your brain chemistry. It will really change the way you feel about things. It will make sport a lot more fun. It'll help you, um, again, celebrate your successes so that you see progress. Because if you don't see progress, if you
Mhm.
only see problems, then it's really going to suck the life out of sports, and it's really going to make it hard to feel good about what you do, which again erodes the reward, right? And so it's hard to
Yeah.
be motivated to do something if you don't feel good about what you're doing. So
Right.
if we can flip the script and help you celebrate the good things, see the great things that you're doing, feel better about what you do, it's going to be
Yeah.
much easier to internalize that driver of motivation to go, yeah, I am doing a good job. I am seeing progress. I want to keep chasing that because it's very rewarding to me. That's how you
Yeah.
kind of create that internal motivation.
In the moment, not when you're retired, everyone.
That's right. That's right.
It's something like this drive, I think, of athletes is like go more, need more, do better. And that is such valuable information for everyone to be like, celebrate those moments when they
You have to be in the
happen.
moment. Absolutely. Yeah,
Or
it's a bit
else,
of mindfulness, right? So anchoring in a bit of
yeah,
mindfulness, being in the now,
yeah,
celebrating yourself, giving yourself some grace, all of those soft skills that we would say that just aren't focused on enough in the sports system. Like they're not taught to a
no,
lot of athletes, right? Like you're just
no.
told go and do better, but not here's how you do it better and here's how you feel better.
Oh, it's so true. Oh my god. Oh, I love this conversation. Because I feel like we're breaking barriers, honestly. Like that is not how I grew up in sport, and things are changing to make it hopefully more enjoyable. And then
Mhm.
when you're enjoying it, the results will come as well.
That's exactly right. You know, and that's a sense when I talk to athletes about their optimal zone of functioning or their optimal mental state when they're doing well, the words that they always generate are things like creativity and fun and
Mhm.
lightness and enjoyment. And those are invariably attached to good performance, right? It's much harder to generate good performance if you're not feeling those things.
I know. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Mhm.
And when athletes like we because I've had Olympians and Paralympians on, and I have asked them, I'm like, what is it? What helps you get through something that's really tough? And we've had the words of like accountability, resilience, and things like that. Are there anything that jumps out at you for that, even if it's coming off injury? And like for me, sometimes
Mm.
I'm like, well, I don't really want to go for a jog, but I know I need to. So it's like goal
Yeah.
setting, you know?
Yeah, I think that the fragile state of motivation would be fear-based, right? And we see that sometimes in
Mm.
athletes who have achieved something. So those who say have achieved unexpected success earlier in their careers when they're a little bit younger,
Mhm.
and suddenly you're a gold medalist at 16. What do you do after that? Like, how do
Mhm.
you maintain that and sustain that? So sometimes what drives them for a while is fear of not being that because they're told that, well, the country now is depending on you and
No
Canada loves
doubt.
you. And if you don't, then, it's the next shiny object type thing. So I think it's success should be followed with more support to
No
help that
doubt.
person stay solid and learn how to live in their new reality because they don't. It's not an automatic, nobody knows how to suddenly be a 5-time gold medalist at the Olympics, right? And then be normal
Yeah.
and go
I
back to
mean,
high
that
school.
yeah, that even comes down to, like, Michael Phelps and so many also, like, Canadian athletes that are like well, I go with, like, American athletes because I trained in the States a lot, and a lot of them are
Mhm.
my friends. So, like, Kelly Clarkson, she's a snowboarder, she won, and then it you go into this depression, so you after
That's
the
right.
games, like, I don't think people understand, like, after the Olympics, sometimes either you're done with your sport, like, there's no more competitions. For instance,
Mhm.
2010, our skeleton, John Montgomery, we're sitting in the village and he's like, "You're still competing after this? We're done." And then
Right.
they don't have any support, or we're going on to something else and you haven't celebrated that. And then it's
Right.
like all this crazy no one's there for you after
Right.
these epic moments. So I really
Exactly.
like that you just said support. So we would want that in like the sport organizations as well as teammates to kind of keep things going so you're not like in a silo by yourself.
Right, and you know that you measure your life during the Olympic years as a quad, right? Your
Yeah.
life is measured in 4-year periods, and you
Mhm.
plan your life in terms of, okay, immediately after the games, I'm doing this, and then you work up towards the next games, and then, the next quad is over, and then there's a big void after that, right, that you need to fill. But I found, I mean, I didn't compete at the Olympics, but I went to the Olympics in 2021 with the swimming group, Swimming
Mhm.
Canada, and even just being there as a staff, we're away for, a month with staging camp and then the Olympics itself and then back. You're in a bubble, as you know, right? Like you're in this
Yeah.
artificial world where it's completely consumed with Olympism and colors and nations and
They
competition.
do it.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's up to here, right? With simulation and everything else. And then
Yeah.
suddenly you're dropped back in the middle of normal society and expected to figure out, how do I communicate with people who didn't actually go through the same experience? And people are
Yeah.
going, oh my God, you're amazing. You're an Olympian and blah, blah, blah. But like, you still have to figure out, was it a good experience?
Mhm.
What do I do now? And how do I
Mm.
proceed with life? And it's not as easy as people think.
It's so true, and we go back to the beginning of what you said when I asked
Right.
you about what's the thing that we would take
The
away.
myth.
The
Mhm.
athletes don't have an easy life.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, it's so wild. Is there anything else that you advice you have for motivation? Even just not athletes, like normal people. Some people, it's hard to get out of bed.
Yeah.
If you don't
I know,
have like
meaning and purpose are so important, and I preach meaning
Mhm.
and purpose. Like, without a sense of meaning and without a sense of purpose for why you're getting out of bed in the morning, it's really hard. And again, people really struggled with that during the pandemic when they weren't working or they weren't in their
Yeah,
usual places or at school or training with their folks. It was really hard to figure out that. And if there's a transition in your life, if you're changing jobs or schools or locations or relationships, sometimes you need to figure out what your next purpose is and
yeah.
what your meaning is. What is it that drives you? And again, I go back to the ingredients, and you can
Mm,
trust the ingredients, right? Like, so those are mobile, those move with you, and those stay with you for life. So if you change whatever's happening in your life, you can still go back to your ingredients and figure out, what is it that drives me? What is
yeah.
it that makes me feel good? Because I need to seek that and I need to surround myself with that.
Oh, and sometimes it's hard to find.
It is hard to find sometimes. Yeah, but you know, especially when people are moving to different communities, they say, well, see what's in your community, see what's, it's going to be new, it's going to be different people, but just see what's
Yeah.
around and explore. And maybe it's something you haven't explored yet. Maybe like today, I asked a guy, you had your ACL repaired last year. You had two concussions also last year. It must have been a really hard year, interrupted from sport. What did you do with your time off? And he said, I've discovered photography, and now he has a photography business, and he just
Okay.
shot a wedding the other day, but he's a lacrosse player and he still wants to go to D1 in lacrosse. So finding
Cool.
opportunities, right? So
Yeah.
finding opportunities, and when there's adversity or interruptions in sport, if
Yeah.
I try to phrase it as an opportunity to kind of learn more about yourself and do things that you wouldn't have otherwise had an opportunity to do.
It is interesting in that sense is like sometimes, and this happens to a lot of people that I know because a lot of us are either doing extreme sports or something, but something will take us out and it will change our lives. And it doesn't change it for the worse because we are
Right.
so driven to find this other purpose or meaning or something else we can do more of that it blossoms exactly into that photographer
Hmm.
athlete. For
Hmm.
me, it was art, but also just finding different passions. And I think that we haven't really yet used the word growth because finding different motivation in things, you have to grow and get out of your
You have
comfort
to.
zone and meet new people.
Yeah, so the openness, right, to explore, to be
Yeah.
curious, to try new things is super important.
Oh, this has been a fabulous conversation. Is there anything you wanna add before I kinda just go through what I feel like we've learned here today?
No, I think, again, just going back to the no finish line
Yeah,
metaphor, right? Like, just recognizing that there may be roadblocks, there may be obstacles, life will change, situations will change, but there are ways around it, under it, over it, through it. Sometimes you need to change direction and find a different approach, but truly
yeah.
thinking about life as not having a finish line is an important
That
approach.
kind of makes more sense to me now when you were like, "No finish line." I was like, "Okay, I need to hear more about this." So that's
Mhm.
all yeah, it all comes together. It all comes
That's right.
together. So cool. Okay, so your one word was resentless, and that had to
Relentless.
do
Yep.
oh, relentless, sorry,
Mhm.
resentless, relentless. Thank you. And I really wanna touch on, again, those seeds that you were talking about to make this ingredient. At first, I was like, "Where's she going with this?" And then you said, "Okay, well, you have to pay attention to yourself, like, what's interesting?"
Mhm.
"Oh, that's a hard no when you try something new and you're ready to grow and be open. Nah, I'm not into it. Okay, that's fine. Learned that
Mhm.
lesson." I think we
Mm.
all go through that too.
Yep.
And yes, this is really cool, and I think when I find things that, I'm passionate about, I'm, like, all in, and
Right. You know,
it
right? You
yeah.
feel it.
It
Yeah.
changes your whole body. You kinda get
Yes.
goosebumps and you're like, "Dang, this is cool." So I just I again, I'll say, like, those seeds of growth and learning throughout your life to find those things that kind of give you a passion, I think that's really, 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 really cool. I love that you are who you are today because you wanted to give a voice to those that didn't have it. Um Never easy to have a voice
Mhm.
in the mental health area for some people. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being that voice for people. It is so necessary. Um, we also talk about having patience and like listening to people. You get to hear their stories. You get to make these relationships with people. I think that's a beautiful thing. You weren't in the ER because that was just like a one and done, and this is a
Ah.
longevity for life kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
which a lot of us, I would assume, also thrive for, to keep friends in our lives. We want to do those similar things. And you get to see them through from wellness, illness, wellness.
It's such a
Um,
privilege.
it's
Yeah.
very, very cool. I mean, the words that you use today are just so impactful. You talked about external motivation coming from coaches at a young age, and then, if I'm getting this right, the age 11 to 13 is the transition to internal motivation. And I just want to share one quick story. My internal motivation was a coach being like, well, we need to set some goals. And I think I was probably at the 16-year-old age that we were talking about earlier. And I was like, goals are stupid. But I didn't but I didn't know in my own head I had created these goals. I was like, okay, I'm on the national team. Yeah, I'm going to a World Cup. Okay, now I want to go to the Olympics.
You
But
tick
like
those boxes. Yeah.
yeah, but I, like, in my head, I didn't consider them goals. I just considered them exactly, like, I didn't put that word together with what the coach was saying because it wasn't explained properly to me, right?
Mhm.
So, internalized motivation can come in different aspects, I would say, especially in those ages of 11 to 13.
Mhm. But
Very
I
cool
think
to
that, like, really being able to celebrate yourself is super important, right? So say to
yeah,
yourself, "That was awesome. Like,
right.
that was really what I did was really good." At the end of my day, sometimes I actually say to myself, I think I did a good job. I think I helped some people today." It's really important to do that because like, it's just consolidating what you're doing and just kinda closing that loop of reward, and again, without that, we're chasing something that doesn't always feel great. So super important to celebrate yourself.
I know, and I, even to this day, I need to learn how to do that. I need to, like,
Yeah.
rewire my brain to be like,
Mhm.
"Okay, you've done that. That was amazing. You did a good job." Like, it's celebrate
Yes.
yourself is so
Yes.
important and often forgotten, at least for
Mhm.
my age demographic, I would say. I like the idea of more support. Obviously, the support system has to change for things like that to happen,
Mhm.
but also that can come from your peers. So, just
Yes.
even sharing that information of once you've done something great, um, they still want you in your life.
That's
That you
right.
need to be there. So I think that was great. And then we go back to, does it feel good? If it feels
Mhm.
good, yeah, that's amazing. No finish lines. Things will take all different directions.
And they can take
And
time. They can take a lot of
it
time to get there. But
totally.
patience and grace and trust and just, trusting yourself and your pathway is, helpful.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for dropping in today. This is really insightful. I think this is why I'm so excited about this series, because I'm like, I know how people have motivation. So, well, maybe we might have to do another one of this. Um,
Anytime.
Dr. Carla, where can people find you if they want to hear more?
So, I work out of the Toronto Rock Athletic Center in Oakville,
Yeah.
one day a week, and otherwise I'm online and have lots of reach anywhere. We learned from the pandemic that there are no boundaries. So, I have my personal website is Synergy Sport Plus Mental Health, and people can find me there and connect with me that way.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you so much for dropping in today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for dropping in today. You can find everything you want to know about Dropping In with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.